going on, guys? This is your boy LQ, Real Deal Fantasy HQ. This is the Fantasy Heat Check with my boy Cody. What up, what up, what up?
Dude, we're in the middle of August, and I swear not only is like our takes getting hotter and my shirts are getting more fire, but it is so goddamn hot outside. I can't do this anymore. I need fall. I need fall weather. I need my pumpkin spice. Actually, I'm out on pumpkin spice. That shit sucks. Give me apple cider. But
wow,
I need fall. I'm ready. I'm over this heat. Not over the fantasy heat check, but I'm over the heat.
I'm not a true fan of pumpkin spice or anything, but Oktoberfest, Samuel Adams, come on, bro. You got to get that.
That is true.
That is true.
I'm a big German beer guy. German beer guy. I got a mug that might make an appearance next, or a Stein that might make an appearance next episode. It is fire. You're gonna laugh your ass off. It's hilarious.
But we got an amazing show today. We got the show sheet and it is fire today. There's a hot take on there that me and Cody did not agree about before the show, and we'll save that heat a little bit later into the show. Not too much later. I want to get it right into it almost, but I'll save it. But
we got to break down the news first, bro.
I know the news is important. The news. What up, Troy? What up? Troy,
much love.
Listen, before we get into it, I definitely want to let you guys know I did do a partnership with Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. Download the app. Make sure you guys sign up using promo code FCO. Fire content only. Let's get the big bucks. It's a new platform. They're basically killing the game right now. Everybody's getting on it. So make sure you sign up. $100 they match up to. So go ahead, sign up.
Look, I already have my fantasy picks. And quite frankly, some of my picks are going to be about the guys that we're talking about in today's show. We are bringing absolute heat, but we have sadness. All right, look, it is what it is. Injuries suck. Z2, we're not going to skip your comment. We love you, and also the most fire graphics designer in the game.
No, seriously, he needs to get his roses right now because Z2 is killing it for the last.
He's good. He's really good.
No cap.
But
Z2,
talking about things that aren't good, Travis Etienne injury sucks. Linz Frank.
Where were you when you found out?
I honestly don't remember. I'm going to be honest. When my brother texted me, my brother's a massive Colts fan. He texted me. He's like, like Travis Etienne out for the year. He's like, we might actually beat the Jags. It's like, oh, you did lose to them last year. Their only win. But yeah, from fantasy, I hate it because I really did want to see Etienne and Trevor Lawrence together, but it does provide a little bit of clarity to that backfield, which was a little murky, but not really.
Slightly, not too much. It gets even weirder. That's what I feel like. Like before we knew it was a clear-cut Etienne show, I think on the PPR side of things, and then James Robinson, probably the 1-2 punch, but more so the 2. But I definitely feel like, now we can't do a bunch of reaching because, one, I think people are sleeping on the fact that Carlos Hyde is there. Him and Urban Meyer have a history together. Hyde has been the constant pest, no matter where he's at. You know what I mean? He's going to get touches. It's going to be an uncomfortable amount of volume to where Carlos Hyde isn't going to go away. And then when I look at James Robinson, I look at him for, most of the things that he showed us on film last year, which was great. The 60 targets he got. I just don't see 60 targets going there again because there's not really much of a need with, Urban Meyer there with the healthy wide receiver core, Marvin Jones putting on a show. So, yeah, what do you think, Cody?
So there are, I understand where there is, there is some cloudiness there, right? But at the end of the day, this guy was RB7 last year in an offense that was much worse than what this offense is, right? And for a guy who had 1,000 rushing yards as an undrafted free agent, is it not, I think it's almost likely that he repeats that, honestly. And where, I think you have to be careful of where you're drafting him, right? Because obviously the ADP is going to be all over the place.
Exactly.
I have him right as a back end RB2, RB 15 to 17. I think is that nice spot for him. I like him ahead of guys who are much less. I like him ahead of Darrell Henderson. I like him ahead of Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
Guys that don't have a lot of. I like him ahead of Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders.
I like him ahead of that tier of running backs. I like him ahead of most of the third round running backs, to be honest, like a Miles Sanders, or even like if we go deeper to where it's like you have questions about Swift with his injury as well. That's going under the radar. Nobody's really talking about. He's still being drafted currently at his ADP, and we still don't know what's going to really happen. He might be eased in, might be a slow start. Jamal Williams is even being talked about, as the week 1 starter, taking most of the workload to ease Swift back into it. So I definitely don't want guys taking a victory lap on week 1 if they see Jamal Williams taking a lot of carries from there. But I definitely feel like, Swift will be eased in. So the week 1 victory laps shouldn't be happening. But back to James Robinson, I definitely feel like you said, I'm not going to say he won't do what he did last year. I won't say, he's not going to mirror something like he did last year. But honestly, I'm a little hands off when it comes to like ranking him, where to take him in drafts. If he's too high for my taste, I might be out.
Yeah, you just you got to be careful. People are going to reach. Not everybody reaches in drafts, but a lot of people do. But if you can get him if he is my RB2, I am comfortable with that. I am comfortable with him as my RB2. I am. I really am. I think there's more certainty with James Robinson than there is with a lot of these back end running, the RB2s.
I hear that angle. Let me play devil's advocate. So why draft ETN in the first round? Why sign Carlos Hyde after having James Robinson put up like a record-breaking year as an undrafted free agent? Why do you make these moves? Why do you?
You're obvious. Like the Jaguars were a 1-15 team last year. Like obviously they're not very good. They were not a good team, and
they're better now though.
Yes, agreed. And the offense is better. The offensive line has improved slightly, still bad, but it's slightly better. Brought in Walker Little. I love that. But at the end of the day, there aren't many clear running backs back end of the 4th for Robinson. I love that. Back end of the 4th is a great spot for Robinson.
Perfect.
Because if you can go ahead and get a running back and a wide receiver, and then Robinson is your RB2, I am fine. I am absolutely fine with that. I have no problem with it.
Love that.
And I just think there's more certainty there with James Robinson, even with Carlos Hyde stealing touches, because Carlos Hyde always has. And there were guys on that Jaguars roster last year who stole touches from James Robinson. I'm still not like uber concerned about it from a standpoint of, look, volume is king, and he looks like he should get 200 plus touches. How many running backs do we know that are a lock for 200 plus touches? Because it can't be more than 20.
Right? It can't be more than 20. That's what I feel like when we look at the touches. Like I agree, he's locked in for 200 touches. I just want those touches to matter. You know what I mean? I want him to be able to get those touches out of the backfield, to see 5 to 6 targets a game, to be able to find a way into the end zone, to be the sole running back, red zone running back. No, I don't think that's going to be a thing, but I would like him to return back on that price that I'm spending in that 3rd round, in that 4th round, to at least see the end zone more than 6 times. Like that's something I want to see. You know what I mean?
And hopefully we do with Trevor Lawrence at the helm. Hopefully that offense is better. But
yeah, I definitely think so.
Speaking of better offenses, right? We got to talk about your team, because they went and they acquired a 1st round running back. I mean, what an absolute stud that they got in Sony Michel.
Another broken bulldog. That's all I'm going to say.
Look,
we got the wrong one.
I think it's pretty. If you were in on Henderson, this shouldn't matter. No. If you were out on Henderson, this matters, but you were already out on Henderson.
Exactly.
Right? Like that. Perfect. I have not moved Henderson in my ranks at all. No. Not one bit. Because
everybody panics. Like, I got to move him down. Well, honestly, he should have been down to begin with. Like his ranking should not matter. Like right now, it shouldn't have moved at all. Like Sony Michel being added to that running back group doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me want to pick up Sony. It doesn't make me want to fade Henderson. At the beginning of this season, once we heard Cam Akers taking the workload, Hendo was not being talked about. He was simply a handcuff insurance policy for Akers. Mm-hmm. So it's like now he's a starter. we never really believed in him to begin with. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I
Yeah.
got seats 2019. I never believed in the kid. Like, it's not anything for him to be an RB1 on my team to have that full workload. So
He'll have fantasy value. I just don't think at his current ADP, I'm staying away from him.
no, he should
It
be
is what
going
it is.
honestly where Chase Edmonds is going. Maybe a little bit back into that like 5th round, 6th round area. Like it's a little nasty looking once I hit that draft board and I see people take him that high. And then people are taking Xavier Jones in like the 10th round.
Yeah, that's
one preseason game. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's an overreaction. Speaking of preseason overreactions, though, I am absolutely overreacting on the preseason that Ramondre Stevenson is having.
Yes.
Solely on the fact that he is now if Ramondre Stevenson doesn't have the preseason he has, the Patriots don't make this move. And I think that running back room, which was a little cloudy, I'm not a big believer in Damian Harris, got a little bit more clear. And it is that Damian Harris is your first and second down back. James White is obviously your third down back, always has been, always will be. And then Ramondre Stevenson is a solid handcuff, right? A guy who could take some snaps.
Yeah.
He's a guy that like, I'll throw a dart on at the end of a draft. Ramondre Stevenson, like a last pick, like I'll throw a dart at him.
Yeah. I feel like if you miss out on Harris, honestly, if you miss out on Harris, I'm grabbing me some James White if Mac Jones is a starter. Like 100%, I'm grabbing me some James White for PPR purposes because I think there will be a lot of checkdowns. James White has always been relevant to fantasy, no matter who the quarterback was, Brady, Cam, now probably Mac. I really feel like, James White brings that role to where he can have a ton of upside. He could see probably like 7 to 8 targets a game if everything goes, right with Mac Jones.
And the thing with the Patriots is as long as Cam Newton is the starting as long as
you said it right, running back,
right.
RB1
without and this isn't a disrespect to Cam. He is the best red zone rusher on that team, and it's not close. And he's honestly, he's one of the best in the league and has been for a couple of years. But at least he was in 2015. But at the same time, he is their number one option when it comes to getting the ball into the end zone.
Absolutely.
When it gets close. So I am down on the Patriots backfield until Mac Jones gets that run because he is not Cam Newton. Not even close.
Same with the wide receivers as well. I mean, Jacoby Myers, I want to hit on. But if Cam is obviously, the QB, then the wide receivers suffer in the end zone. They're not going to be able to score touchdowns. 7 out of 11 games that Jacoby Myers has last year, I've been talking about since Fantasy Heat Check 1. He had double-digit games, but no touchdowns in any of them. So, obviously Cam Newton puts a hinder on a lot of positions for fantasy. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Mac Jones takes this job and runs away with it.
I agree 100%. So speaking of quarterbacks who are taking jobs, right? Let's right. What a transition!
No, your transitions are crisp. It's the shirt, bro. It's the shirt.
Bro, it's got to, bro. You bring the tequila, I'll bring the lime. You know how it is. Big tequila podcast. Not really.
Love it.
I fucking hate tequila. But quarterbacks. All right, we're gonna start with probably the most entertaining quarterback on this list in Jameis Winston.
Ooh.
Good, bad, or indifferent, right? The dude is entertaining because you never know what you're gonna get with Jabu at the helm.
Yep.
That being said, this is an instant elevation for every fantasy player on the Saints roster. Every single one. Because Taysom is a vulture in the passing game. He's a vulture in the rushing game. He's a vulture all over the field. This is good for Troutman. It's good for Callaway. It's good for Kamara. This is a good. It brings me faith back into that Saints offense.
I love everything I've seen from him in preseason. I love, that now he's been named the starter. He is still criminally being, underdrafted. So let people sleep. I definitely think he's showing maturity in the playbook, being that he's making quicker decisions. That was one of the things. I forget who was saying it, but one of the people calling the game were saying his mechanics just look more crisp. He looks rejuvenated. He looks comfortable. He doesn't have to be that aggressive to go downfield like a Bruce Arians offense, how we all know he's aggressive to go downfield. So with that being said, Winston just looks like a solid QB2. Like he looks like a guy that can produce week to week for you. I'm not saying he's going to put up like 30 points every single week because we know that's like QB1 elite, points. I'm saying like between like minimum 20 points to 25 points, which is like a good area for Winston.
Yeah, I think he's a very solid quarterback too, and he's absolutely going to be a guy that I'm going to target for bye weeks or injuries or anything in my quarterback room. I'm going to be looking to see if I can throw Jameis in there because given the right matchup, dude, that man can eat. He can eat. So next quarterback, all right, not a guy who I'm taking in fantasy, at least not in redraft, and it's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
and that's not a talking down on Trevor Lawrence. It's just that the Jaguars offense is going to be
a Jaguar,
but still,
the
if they win 6 games, that'll be a good season for him. But I think that
terrible.
Okay, from last year, I mean the roster's not good.
They have the tools though to be good. I really feel like their offense is going to be a lot better than
that defense sucks, dude. That defense is so bad.
Yeah.
But that being said, I am excited for Trevor. We knew this was coming, right?
Yeah.
So
that was like not a surprise.
Yeah. So I haven't changed my opinion on any Jaguars offensive players. Like we knew this was coming. Trevor's exciting. Like he can make plays with his legs. So dynasty people are happy, I'm sure, but we'll see. But we got to go. We're going to move to a.
No advice. I have no advice how to take them down.
I do actually have some advice, Dennis. It's real easy. All right. Every Thursday, what you're going to do is you're going to wake up in the morning. You're going to be pumped and ready to go. You're going to be full of juice because you know that the fantasy heat check is going to be on that day, and you are going to listen to the fantasy heat check, and that will help you win the Footballers Listener League.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully. God,
hell yeah.
They're good at their job, man.
If you win,
I'm excited for you. That'll be awesome. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you got to give the shout out, man. That would be sweet. I want the clout. Love the guys over there at the Footballers, but moving on to Denver. All right. Yeah. Teddy Two Gloves. Are you surprised?
No. Heavens no. I felt like, Teddy was coming in. Like he did. Like the thing is, his numbers were like so mid in real life football, but for fantasy, I look at this as like a plus for the wide receiver core and Noah Fant. So I really feel like, Teddy Two Glove had it in the bag because Drew Lock was just absolutely terrible last year. Like it was just embarrassing. We really had this high hope for him to be, lock it up Drew and be Noah Fant and him in connection, et cetera, et cetera. Even though Noah Fant had the volume, it's just that Drew Lock sucked. You know what I mean? So this definitely is a good thing for the wide receiver core, being that, Teddy's coming from having 3, wide receivers finish top 25, which is awesome. And I definitely think, the weapons are maybe, a slight bit better, with Jerry Jeudy over there, with Noah Fant, and then Cortland Sutton coming back from injury. So I definitely like Teddy Two Glove as the starter, as the guy to go into week 1. I really think he was doing well in preseason. I knew Drew Lock, the KJ Hamler had that deep bomb. We were in Canton when that happened. We were watching that at the bar. And I feel like, you know what? Like, yeah, I mean, he's an NFL professional quarterback. He's supposed to do that. But is this going to translate into full speed, regular season football? You know what I mean? So that's what it comes down to. And I'm guessing they know something that we don't, that Teddy Two Glove was just being the veteran that we knew he was going to be to come in and be the starter.
Yeah, I like Teddy Bridgewater as a quarterback. I think he is a perfectly serviceable quarterback. I think he's going to be fine for the Broncos team.
Definitely. And
I'm much more concerned for the Broncos for other reasons from a fantasy perspective than I am because of Teddy Bridgewater. And the reason is because of offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate this statistic because I've seen it all over Twitter the last couple of days as soon as Teddy Bridgewater was announced as the starter. Well, Teddy Bridgewater was able to have and sustain 3 top 30 fantasy wide receivers last year. Wrong. Joe Brady was able to sustain 3 top 30 fantasy wide receivers last year.
You're an ass.
That is the difference. That is the difference. And this is not I don't mean to talk down about Teddy Bridgewater at all. Love me some Teddy Two Gloves. This is not on him. That offense sucks. And when you look at the offenses that Pat Shurmur has been a part of, like they were terrible last year. The Broncos had an awful offense last year. Then you go back 2019, he was the head coach of the Giants. You know what that offense team did? Nothing. They sucked. And then he was the head coach the year before that. And you know what they did then? They were terrible. It came in last in their division.
Ass whooped. Yeah.
He's a terrible, terrible offensive coordinator. I truly, truly believe that he will be gone after this year because that offense is not – I'm not a believer in the Broncos offense. I am down on Noah Fant. I don't think he finishes as a top 10 tight end. I'm down on Judy. I'm down on Sutton. And it has nothing – it pains me because they are so damn talented. They are so good at football. I think Pat Shurmur's holding them back. I'm out on the Broncos. That's my 2 cents. Clip it.
That was like on Twitter. $5 bill right there.
Look, it is what it is, man. Like I
came with the heat
Pat
with that
Shurmur
one.
Stinks, dude. He stinks. All right. Speaking of offenses that stink, the Bears. Andy Dalton officially announces the starter for Week 1. At what point in the Rams game do you think that they put in Justin Fields?
So I would say at least by the end of the first quarter, because one, Andy Dalton cannot handle pressure, especially with Aaron Donald coming at you in the interior portion of the field.
And like all of their tackles are hurt.
It's going to be a blood bath. Like it's going to be like I have tons of share of Darnell Mooney. I am sitting him Week 1 for the simple fact he has the Rams. And it's
absolutely
like Andy Dalton named the starter. Are we nuts? Are we crazy? Like this is the thinking that I don't get with coaches. Like Fields put on a freaking show.
A clinic, man. It was awesome.
All through preseason. And you're still going with Andy fucking Dalton. I don't get it. That I literally don't see the thought process. I don't see how you're building up your rookie's confidence doing this. Like you see he's doing a good job, but he's not starting. Like I don't know if people really like understand the psyche behind that. Like, hey, I'm doing a great job. The media is saying I'm a good job. The fans are saying I'm a good job. But you, my coach, are not going to start me. Why?
Well, and the guys in the locker room too are got to be like, dude, can we please just put in Fields? Like, god damn. But it is what it is. I personally think the Bears will lose to the Rams. I think they're going to get their ass kicked. Follow me on Twitter at Smash Hit Sports for my gambling content. I will be putting out my gambling picks for Week 1 of the NFL season and Week 3 of the preseason. If you're into that kind of thing, I'm a big degenerate piece of shit. But
I love it.
the Rams are absolutely like going to crush them. And then this is not a homer pick. This is just me being honest and watching football. I think the Bengals beat the Bears in Week 2, and I think Justin Fields is a starter in Week 3. I think that's kind of the progression of how things go. Because if Andy Dalton can't score on the Bengals, he can't score on anybody. So we'll see. But I think not only the fantasy community, but the NFL community, and I know people up by me or near Chicago are chomping at the bit to see some Justin Fields in action. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at, for fantasy purposes, him naming Andy Dalton. That means, Justin Fields stays cheap. So therefore I can grab him later. And he goes off by Week 3. He ends up having a Justin Herbert season. And then you're sitting there looking pretty, grabbing him in the 12th round. Like,
yes, sir. Love that. Oh, man.
Love it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Speaking of things that we love, let's talk about some guys that we don't, right? We had some listeners asking last week, like, hey, who are some guys we can fade? And unfortunately, the fantasy heat check can only go so long. We do have lives, but we are a podcast for the people. So we said, LQ and I, we sat down and we said, you know what? We got to give the people what they want. We got to give them the people that we don't want. And that is the guys that we're fading in drafts this year. I have a couple. All right. And I have mine written down. I'm excited to see what yours are because I haven't seen yours yet. Right. But my first fade, and I think I'm going to shock some people with this, DK Metcalf.
Ooh, spicy.
Okay.
I'm with you. Though. I'm with you.
Incredibly talented, super talented guy. Here's why I'm out on DK Metcalf. He's currently being drafted as the wide receiver 4 or 5, depending on what platform you're playing on. He is going before guys like DeAndre Hopkins. There are platforms where he is being taken before Stephon Diggs. I just don't. I love DK Metcalf. He's just not. What do we preach here in the Church of the Fantasy Heat Check? What do we preach, LQ? Volume is king.
Yes.
They were 20th in passing volume last year. Pete Carroll's already said they want to run the ball more. And then they go in and they bring in Dwayne Eskridge to play that slot role. They bring in Gerald Everett to give them more of a tight end presence. DK Metcalf was super efficient last year. And even then, he wasn't wide receiver 5. He's being drafted too high based on the name value and the swole Instagram photos.
Yeah, the shock value.
I love DK Metcalf, just not where he's currently being drafted.
And I think people forget he has Jalen Ramsey, twice a year, every year. And did we forget he locked him up 3 times last year in the playoff, 1 in the playoffs, 2 in the regular season? Yeah, so you could just chalk that up. 2 games, you might as well just sit him. But, hey, I'm not paying that high price for no DK. I'm definitely fading him as well. He's a player that, like you said, it's just really just like the name value. Like, I got to get me DK Metcalf. I see him everywhere, blah, 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 but no.
Well,
I don't need him.
Look at the back end of his season too, right? Like he went off again. And we've been saying this about the Seahawks offense, dude. You are the biggest advocate of Russell Wilson does not show up late in the season. And if you look at and I don't know if that's Russell Wilson's fault, but I think it's more Pete Carroll's. But at the end of the day, the yards that DK Metcalf put up every week after they played the Eagles in November. So this is from December on. 80 yards, no touchdown. 61 yards, 1 touchdown. 43 yards, no touchdown. 60 yards, no touchdown. 21 yards, no touchdown. That is not a wide receiver 1. It's not a fantasy wide receiver 1.
That's like Marvin Jones numbers, like for the last 2 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the dude ended up with 9 touchdowns back-to-back seasons, by the way. But, we're not drafting him as wide receiver 5, wide receiver 4 before D-Hop. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts, man. It's crazy. That's why, when he goes off the board, I chuckle a little, and I end up grabbing better guys that have more volume, that have bigger upside, and end up finding the end zone way more than he does. So I'm good.
All right. I have my next name on my list, but I need you to give one before we throw hands over my next player. So LQ, who you fading in drafts this year?
I'm fading Chase Edmonds, and I'm not fading him based off of, his price. I'm fading him because I just don't believe that he'll be able to put up the RB2 numbers that we're thinking he could believe to do. James Conner is there. James Conner is definitely not going to be, some bench warmer. I really feel like, he is going to be overdrafted. Chase Edmonds, I'm talking about. He's going to be overdrafted, and then you're not going to get that bang for your buck. Mm-hmm. You're going to be sitting him on the bench more weeks than not. Because think about it. Where he's going, I feel like he's like in the 5th, 6th round. Like we just had the Jersey draft. I've seen him go in that realm. And then I'm looking at the guy's team. I forget who drafted him. I'm pretty sure, they know who they are. But it was like they went Christian McCaffrey and then Chase Edmonds. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good to have Chase Edmonds and Christian McCaffrey, or even like let's say Alvin Kamara and a Chase Edmonds. Like that doesn't feel right to me. I feel like he should have secured that RB2 in the earlier rounds, but people are waiting on Chase Edmonds as if he's this, full send guy. Like he has the workload, like he's proven. So James Conner is definitely going to be more involved than we actually believe. So Chase is a definite fade for me.
I think, and I'm sure that the chat will correct me if I am wrong, but I'm like 90% sure that Chase Edmonds has 1 rushing touchdown inside the 5-yard line in his career. Like they'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure.
Why are we drafting him as an RB2?
That's what I'm saying. And James Conner is going to play a role. I think he is going to get a lot of the red zone work. I think he's going to get a lot of the early down work. And
because people forget James Conner was great.
When he's healthy, he's good.
when he's a featured back, not full workload, when he's a featured back, being that he's splitting the workload where he can be healthy. This is what people are ignoring right now. They're forgetting how James Conner was with Le'Veon Bell.
Yes, when he is healthy, he is a very talented running back. And I think Arizona knows that, right? Like they absolutely know that. So I'm actually kind of in on James Conner this year at his value, but I am out on Chase Edmonds. I'm glad we're on the same page there, right?
Yeah, this right here. He gets it.
Sven, bro. I love Sven. Cool ass dude. But all right, we gotta of the system in Pitt.
Yeah.
I think, okay, I understand why James Conner is viewed as a product of that system in Pittsburgh, but to an extent, right? Like we've seen running backs get volume and get opportunities and not succeed. And like, quite frankly, that offensive line wasn't incredible even last year when like he was still fantasy relevant. So while I do get like, there's a give and play, right? Like, was Peyton Manning a product of this, or like, was Tom Brady a product of the system of Bill Belichick? Well, no, but did it help? Yeah. So that, there's some give and take there.
Yeah, made him a better player. So
for sure. All right, LQ, we gotta throw some hands over this. A guy I am fading so incredibly hard. Okay.
You're nuts.
I am fading the hell out of Adam Thielen, dude.
Why?
And okay.
Jesus.
What are you seeing in Adam Thielen that I'm not seeing? Okay. Because we watched out and had his teammate have a phenomenally better season, 1,400 passing yards or receiving yards for Justin Jefferson. Okay. Mm-hmm. Adam Thielen didn't have 75 catches last year, didn't have 1,000 receiving yards last year, but he had 14 touchdowns. 14 damn touchdowns. That's not going to happen again. There's no way. And I'm not a big fan of the word touchdown regression, like, because it's just, you like certain receivers are good in the red zone. Adam Thielen is one of them. Okay.
Yes.
But that being said, he's being drafted as a wide receiver 2. Okay. Back end wide receiver 2, right around the wide receiver 3 range. Okay. Yeah. When you look at his receiving stats, he has 4 games all of last year where he had over 90 receiving yards. 90. He had 4 games. That was it. 4 games where he had 90. Every other game he had 90 or less. 90 or less. You look at the back, right? You look at the playoff
stretch. That is true. That is true. You're true. That's true.
Okay, let's look at this playoff stretch. 75 yards, 39 yards, 11 yards, 97 yards, 57 yards. Now, if you take away the fact that he had 3 touchdowns over that span, like that. But there was a stretch for a while where like he had a game with 43 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns, bailed you out. The week before, he had 38 yards and no touchdowns. You got screwed. He's touchdown dependent. He is very touchdown dependent. And there are guys in that range that I would much rather have.
But I feel as though when you're drafting Adam Thielen, I hope you draft it like a Keenan Allen or obviously like a D-Hop. Excuse me. But you're right. That was a base one. You're right, though. You're definitely right with Adam Thielen. I understand your concern, but I cannot ignore those touchdowns. I cannot, because there's plenty of other players that we lay waste to. We dump a ton of stock into them when they do the same thing. Now, Adam Thielen has always been the red zone guy. He finished number 1 as a red zone target. Kirk Cousins loves Adam Thielen in the red zone. That's not going to change at all. It's not like a head coach was fired and new one's coming in. Not like a different QB's coming. Everything's the exact same thing, just with some minor improvements of the O-line and et cetera, defense, whatever. Off-season moves matter. Now, Adam Thielen being the number 1 red zone target shouldn't be slept on. For the last 3 years, he's been the number 1 red zone target, even with Diggs there. Now with Jefferson there. Jefferson finished 3rd as a red zone target. So he's not even being looked at. The first and second read are Adam Thielen and Irv Smith. And Irv Smith doesn't have Kyle Rudolph in there anymore. So which your theory of being touchdown dependent is fine because those targets are going to be there. You have to follow the volume, and the volume is there for him in the red zone to where we all love touchdowns. Boom.
All right, let's play a name game then.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to name Adam Thielen, and then I'm going to name every receiver going after him, and you're going to tell me which ones you're going to take over Adam Thielen.
Gotcha.
Ready?
I love this game.
Robert Woods. Yeah. No, already know the answer to that one. All right.
Wait. Wait.
You heard me correctly. You heard me correctly.
Yeah, I'm taking Woods.
Okay. Amari Cooper.
Thielen.
What?
Thielen. I don't like Tyler Cooper.
All right.
He's
Tyler
the only
Lockett.
three going into the season. Tyler Lockett, definitely Thielen.
Okay. That one is the one I'll agree with you on. Cooper
Thank you.
Kupp.
No. Taking Cup.
DJ Moore. Deontay Johnson. Jamar Chase.
All
Who of these
right.
guys are you taking over
Hold on.
Adam Thielen?
I can get Adam Thielen and still get a Chase. I could still get Deontay, and I could probably. Nah, I can't get Cup. I can't get Cup and Thielen. I know I've done it before, but I don't know about this year. But
I would.
DJ Moore is the only one where I just had to think like maybe. But
Yeah. But all those
think
other
about
guys,
Thielen.
I'm absolutely taking over Adam
I'll
Thielen.
take Thielen over DJ Moore. I got to be honest. I might.
Okay.
I
That's
don't believe
that's
in Sam
fair.
Darnold. I don't believe in Sam Darnold. That's what it is.
I am on the same page with you on that one. All right.
Yeah.
LQ, we're gonna give you. We're not. We got a little bit of time left, so we'll run
Yeah.
one more round. But who you fading? All right. I gotta hear it.
All right. So my last fade, honestly, I think it's like already out there to where we're fading Raheem Mostert. Like he's facing injury right now. So of course it's nothing to keep him on field for extended months, weeks, et cetera, et cetera. But he's always been a guy that I've seen getting picked up, even with the knowledge of Trey Sermon there, even with the knowledge of Wayne Gallman there. But I still see him getting picked up. It's not like he's going too high or anything like that. It's a complete fade for me when I see him on the board every single time. Like I have no need to grab him. I have no need to grab, a Raheem Mostert when there's a Galladay there. Galladay is no bench warmer. Galladay can ball out when given opportunity. He's in a system that runs the ball pretty good. So I think, there's guys like Trey Sermon that are going later, and probably like 2 rounds later than Raheem Mostert's like current ADP or whatever. But the injury does not surprise me. This was going to happen, next week or week 3 or week 8. It was going to happen eventually. Like he's injury prone. So he's a complete fade for me, like every single time. Great timing by Seb. So who's your next, fade before you even chime in on Mostert? I think you need to get into it.
I'm fading Kenny Galladay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm fading Kenny Galladay. And Sven, we're okay. Talking about 2 injury guys, Galladay and Mostert. That's why we're fading them.
Fades.
They are already starting the season with soft tissue issues. And soft tissue issues don't tend to go away.
Linger.
There have also guys who've seen, like, they have had an injury of soft tissue injuries in the past, or a history of that in the past.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, where Kenny Galladay's being drafted is right around that same area where I'd much rather take an upside shot at a Brandon
Adam
Ayuk
Thielen.
or a
Adam
T.
Thielen or Galladay.
Higgins. Adam Thielen, for sure. But I would much rather have, like, a T. Higgins or,
Yes.
there's just nothing about Kenny Galladay that excites me to the point that, like, I really, really want him. And don't get me wrong, like, I understand why some people are, bro. I mean, he is very talented, but the other thing you got to worry about too is, like, that offense doesn't have a ton of weapons. So he's going to see the number 1 corner all the time. His quarterback's Daniel Jones, and that offensive line is
struggling. He's
and that
struggling
offensive-
with camp.
And like, even if you're a believer in Daniel Jones, that offensive line sucks. And from a guy who's watched a ton of shitty offensive line plays, a Bengals fan, you know what happens when you have bad offensive line play? You make quick passes, you get the ball out of your hands quickly, so your quarterback doesn't get obliterated in the backfield. And that's not Kenny Galladay's game. That's Sterling Shepard's game. Sterling Shepard can absolutely be used on those quick passes.
Definitely.
And Galladay can too. But if you're only using Galladay for short routes and quick outs and slants and that kind of stuff, you're not getting the value that you're drafting Kenny Galladay for. So I'm out on him, and I'm out on Mostert for the same reason. You don't go in and bring a guy. You don't go in, bring in Gallman and draft Sermon
and Mitchell
and Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
And then sit there and go, yeah, Mostert's definitely going to get a majority of the carries in that backfield.
And people forget he requested a trade early in the season as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
So
I thought he was a guy who could have been sent to the Rams, but I don't think they wanted to trade in the division, obviously. So, but like a running back needy team absolutely could have reached out for Raheem Mostert. I'm just not a huge believer. That's a great question, Sven, though. Love that. All right, LQ. What else we got?
We got mailbags. Let's set up some mailbags. If you guys got questions, I see you guys in here watching. A bunch of you in here. Send in your questions, man, so we can have some mailbag for either to wrap up the show or for next week. But definitely, if you're watching this right now, make sure you like and subscribe, and then share the video after for the replay, because we've been bringing the heat all 41 minutes in 19, 20, 21 seconds.
Yeah, because look, you know that there are people in your office who are like, hey, man, like, who should I start this week? Who should I sit this week? And what you should go is, hey, bro, I watch these guys. They are damn good at what they do. This is their YouTube channel at Real Deal Fantasy. Like, maybe you should subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and check them out. So, LQ, how close are we to 1,000? I got to look. 954, bro. We're close.
I know. Oh, well, I'm going all out. Like, I'm running a Tiger, a limo, a bunch of balloons, champagne, lights, fireworks. It's going down.
I'm getting a plane ticket to wherever the hell you're going to be, because that's going to be awesome.
Like, it's going to be a freaking tiger there, bro.
I'm excited. So if you guys enjoy this stuff, make sure be a friend, tell a friend, man. Let your friends know about the dudes over here at Real Deal Fantasy. Not only do we have the fantasy heat check every Thursday, but LQ puts out some fire videos throughout the week, some incredible weekly content. So make sure to check us out. And if you guys ever have any questions throughout the week, tweet at us. We are on the Twitter all the time, probably more than my boss would like. So reach out. We'll absolutely answer your questions.
Fired guy.
Yeah, no, this is a fantasy heat check, not fantasy fired check. I'm not trying to. My boss is watching this. I work hard. I promise.
Hey, man, we're going to wrap it up, but I want to thank you guys for coming through, watching the episode, leaving comments. Sev, we saw your comment. We're going to save it for next week. I love that question, and I think that'll be right before most drafts are going on for Labor Day, man. I mean, my draft, my home league is September 4th, so it might come in handy when I go into my draft day, and it might come in handy for you guys as well. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week for another great episode of the Fantasy Heat Check. Peace.